Hi, happy Sunday, happy daylight saving Sunday. We got an extra hour. So, hi everybody, I'm late like usual. We're gonna talk some B90 tonight before the 90 days. Kara's gonna be here to join us. Episode 10. We're like halfway through. So we're gonna get into it as soon as Kara gets here. We're gonna get into the episode. Hey, Jal, Buckshot. The Diva Speaks, Diane. Hi, everybody. Just waiting on Cara to join. Oh, update. Hi, Diva Speaks. Dee Dee was supposed to be here tonight, but unfortunately, she got called into work. So, hi, Geek in the Kitchen. Hi, Joda. I was hoping that we were all going to be united tonight, the gang being back together, but Dee Dee was planning to join us, and she texted me earlier and said that she was called into work. So, hey.
Hi, happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Happy daylight savings time. It's 11:20 technically. So it's past our bedtime. But
for me it's only 8:20 technically.
Oh, right. You're on a different time zone. Yeah. So for me this is late. Do you see my eyes? I'm tired. This is crazy, right?
I mean, it's late for me too, not gonna lie, because I have to be up at 3 a.m, but that's fine.
That's crazy. All right, so we're gonna get into episode 10. Okay, and I was telling everybody Dee Dee was gonna be here tonight. Unfortunately, she has to work. So fingers crossed we're gonna have Dee Dee back with us so we can all be back together. Hey Gina. So we got a lot of stuff tonight, and also we found out that Joe is the person that is gonna be coming onto the show soon, and he's with Magna. I don't know, something along the lines of that. And they're gonna be pretty interesting. It's like this really Italian family, and it seems like he's like cheating, with lots of different chicks. So it's interesting, right? I mean, this is episode 1. We haven't even met them yet, and this is gonna be episode 11, right? Episode 11 that we're gonna meet Joe. So I figure it's not gonna last, but we did see something fall apart tonight. So we saw the Renee and Chitty confrontation on the beach, and Renee really let him have it. Like she really dug into him deep, and I wanted to get your reaction to the way that she spoke to him, because I felt like Chitty was very respectful. When you're dumping somebody, there's different ways that you can go about it, right? You can go after them, you can destroy them, you can unleash your anger. And I felt like he was very respectful. He was just like, I can't move. Oh, Majda is the name. Thank you, Pineapple. It's Joe and Majda. So yeah, I can't wait for that. But I did feel like he was respectful, and I think that he was pointing out to her, like, anytime that I try to talk or voice my opinion or my feelings, because she did it tonight. I mean, she's been doing it the whole time, but she literally talked about the ocean and a boat, anything that she could do to make him feel like his opinion was irrelevant and she didn't want to hear it. And that was so demeaning to me, because, you can listen to someone's opinion and completely disagree, but to completely disregard someone's feelings, I think is just so, it's demeaning, and it's almost dehumanizing, almost making it feel like he doesn't matter. Like if she doesn't want to hear his feelings, they're irrelevant. And I just feel like she's single, not because the guys that she was with turned to drugs or all these different stuff. She's single because she's not a decent human being. Oh, she also said she's not a part of the human race. Did you catch that tonight?
Yeah, it's because she's the freaking devil. I've said it before, I'll say it again. This woman is actually Satan, and I'm so furious. We all know how I feel about Angela and Ed and all those people.
Yeah.
She is almost, right there, she's almost above them in my feelings.
That's really high.
I hate this woman from the pit of my soul. He has been respectful from the beginning. The way she disrespected him, cutting him off, wouldn't let him talk, the way she tells him to look at this and look at that, the way she said, he put his hand on her leg, she said, puts it back on his leg and says, touch yourself, because that's what you're used to. All that shit, like, she is such a disrespectful piece of shit human. She is Satan, and I will stand by that.
She also, while she was angry, she told him to look at the nets on the boat. And I keep saying this. I was like, I'm beginning to think that this is like, you know how we say things, right? Like sometimes when you're with someone who might not be able to walk, you might say something along the lines of walking. We make a mistake, but I feel like she keeps doing this, and I don't think it's a mistake because people were telling me, they were like, no, you know, it might just be how you're used to talking to people. You're not used to having a conversation with a person who is blind, so maybe you might. But she says it a lot,
Yeah.
right? And I think
She
at
said,
this
look,
point,
there's crabs in here. You have crabs. Trying to be funny. Literally nothing that comes out of this woman's mouth could be funny if she tried. She opens her mouth and all I see is shit spew. That's
well,
it.
did you also notice the producer asked her in her interview, like, do you think it's possible you might be overreacting about Victoria, right? Because
Oh.
we saw their interactions, and okay, let's be real, Victoria doesn't like her, but it's with good reason. But
Right.
Victoria has not disrespected her. She's never gotten her face. She's never said anything out of pocket to her. She's been nothing but nice and respectful. And I'm like, well, what kind of treatment did she expect from her? Did she expect her to kiss her ass?
Yeah.
Like, cause I'm trying to understand. She let you stay in her house for free because you could have stayed in a hotel where you belong.
Yep.
But she let you stay in her house for free. She fed you. You didn't give her any money. She fed you. She put you in the home with her kids. So she trusted enough that you were a decent enough human being to be around her family. And you literally got in this woman's face, disrespected her, screamed at her, yelled at her. And her response was, I've never overreacted to anything.
Yep.
And I've been to enough therapy sessions to know that answers like that are 100% the problem. We have
Absolutely.
all of us at one point in our lives, maybe 2 or 3 points in our lives, have overreacted.
Yep.
We've also misunderstood or misinterpreted a situation, and then we acted in a way that was probably irrational, right? And a normal person would be able to see that, you know, it's very possible that you're being irrational in this situation, but she's not a normal person. And her answer said everything to me. She's like, well, I've never been wrong. I've never overreacted. And I was like, well, now I understand how we got here. This is why you are a single woman with 2 kids and 13 chickens. I totally understand how we got there because you've never made a mistake.
Yep. And I overreact all the time. I say shit I shouldn't say. I own my mistakes. One thing I will stand firm on, and I don't care who wants to argue with me. If we have a difference of opinion, my opinion is right in this case. She is Satan. That's that. She's Satan. I'm sorry if anybody likes her. I'm not sorry. I'm actually sorry if someone really likes her because she's the devil. I need her off my screen. I'm so glad she's gone. I hope Chitty finds peace and solitude and the woman of his dreams. But when she said, you're just using me to get to America,
Yeah.
there's a billion other women out there that would treat him like gold. He doesn't need your bullshit.
Well, the funny part is they've never had a conversation about him coming to America because honestly, the relationship has never progressed to that point.
Right?
And for somebody who wants to come to America, his actions were very opposite, right? Usually, when the woman gets there, he's whining and dining her, sweeping her off her feet. They're sleeping together. You know, the actions are usually of someone who is working towards a green card.
Yep.
And honestly, Shitty has never made any reference to him moving to America at all. Because that's funny because I was like, are we watching the other way? Because
Yeah.
he never said that he wanted to come to America. So it was really interesting that, and then she never brought that up the whole time that she's on the trip. She used it right when she's getting dumped, right? Because that's when you pull your ammunition out.
Yep.
Right when you feel attacked, right when you feel defeated, you start going for the jugular. So she's like, oh, well, you're just a Nigerian who's using me for a green card. I was like, how though?
Yep.
Of all the women in the world that he could have used for a green card, and she kept bringing up, oh, it's been 5 years. It's been 5 years. Be real though, y'all weren't talking that whole 5 years.
He
You
straightforward said, if I wanted to come to America, I would have applied. But can you imagine the thoughts in this poor guy's head when she said, you want to come to America? He is in his country where he's safe with his family. He's on the beach with this psychotic, crazy devil woman. Can you imagine his thoughts of, if I lived in America and had nobody and I had to deal with you every day, no way.
That's very scary. She even said he's not a man and he's never gonna stop sucking his sister's titty.
Yep.
Like, the level of disrespect, like, I totally understand when you don't see eye to eye and you're upset and you're arguing, but you also be respectful.
Oh, and she called him Junior.
Oh, yeah. She said Chitty Junior. Chitty Junior. She basically emasculated him and said he's a child.
She said, go for it, Junior.
Which I think is really disrespectful, because she keeps saying, oh, well, you need to be a man and stand on your own 2 feet. What she doesn't realize, well, maybe she does, I don't know. He's blind.
Yeah.
Okay, so him living on his own, especially in the region where he lives, is almost impossible. It's completely unsafe for him to even go buy food. We saw it. There's no sidewalks. The streets are wherever you want the streets to be. There's humps and bumps and potholes everywhere. It's impossible. So the fact that she's like, oh, you're just a baby because you can't take care of yourself. He can't take care of himself because he has a disability. Absolutely. And nobody should ever demean someone because they can't live a normal life because they have a disability. Do you think he wants to be disabled? Right. Do you think this is a choice? Yeah. Right? Like, she made it seem like he woke up one day and just decided not to live a normal life. And I think that lack of compassion for me was the last straw, because she's like, oh, you don't care about me. And I'm like, but you don't care about him. Yep. You know, like, you should be so much more compassionate towards his situation. And she just looks at it like, I wasted 5 years of my time and you're a big baby and I can be, and I'm just like, just be a woman and let him break up with you and stop screaming at him and demeaning him. You know, like,
so did you see the rumor mill where they were saying that TLC is trying to negotiate with her to unban her essentially from the tell-all?
Yeah, I heard that.
Because everybody's wanting her on there because she's so freaking crazy. They think it's going to be a good tell-all.
The biggest complaint, because, you know, they let Angela come to her tell-all, but also they let Angela go to tell-alls for seasons that she wasn't even on. Yep. Okay, so it's like, how are you going to say that this woman can't go to the she's been vile, but she hasn't used any racial slurs. She hasn't done anything that, in my opinion, would warrant her not to be allowed to go to the tell-all. Right? Like, remember Lisa?
Except for she's an abusive piece of shit.
Well,
just like Angela. So
Angela was allowed, right? Angela was allowed. So it's like, don't change the rules now, right? Don't change the rules now.
Protest that, right? We're trying to make the abuse stop.
Well, yes, we want the abuse on the show to stop, but we can't change the fact that they filmed the abuse. We weren't there when production was happening.
The sad thing is I don't think that there is anybody. Literally, it would be Niles and Vagina and Vea and Sunny and Tiger Poop, and there's literally nobody that's going to stand up to her and put her in her place. Not a single one of those people. So I don't think the tell-all is going to be very...
Well, that could be why they're having that conversation, because they know if the tell-all is boring, we're not going to watch it, right? The ratings are not going to work, and then they're going to try to sell advertisements, and they're not going to get the money they want. So maybe that's why. And it's like, I feel like if you subject us to the people during the season, let them be at the tell-all, because you should have had better judgment when you were filming.
I don't know. There's those of us that are just done seeing some people. Like, I don't ever want to see Big Ed again. I don't ever want to see Angela again. Unfortunately, I know I'm going to have to see them.
Yeah, I think, but it's hard.
I mean, Angela's never going to have her own thing. She's going to be on there with Skyla, and Ed's on there because he's yuck. Anyway, those nasty people are coming back, and we're going to have to see that. So I feel like Rain shouldn't, or Renee, I always call her Rain, because she's like a freaking thundercloud. She's
like acid rain raining down on you, right? Yes, she's literally acid rain raining onto you.
I just don't think Chitty needs any more bullshit. I think he should be on there, and his sister should be on there, and they could take a statement from her or a video from her and air it. That way she can't interrupt him. She can't abuse him anymore, and they can edit out any mean things she says towards him, because let's face it, she has gone to the extremes with degrading this man, and that should be done.
She could also be on Zoom too, right? Because on Zoom you can mute the person, right? If they won't stop talking, they won't control themselves, you can mute them and then just not use their screen. So I think if they really want to be in control, you know, that could help. But again, they let Angela do whatever she wanted. So it's like I don't know how to remedy the situation, because it's like, you made us watch the whole season. I want closure. I want to see the end game. And I don't want to see her standing up, screaming and yelling and putting her finger in his face. Obviously,
that's what we're going to.
Well, he won't be there. Thank God, right? He won't be. He'll be on the screen. So I feel like that's a little protection for him. Like, because
I don't know. I just don't think she should get a trip to New York. I don't think she should get the hotel. I don't think she should get her final check. I don't think she should get any of that. I think, like I said, I have big feelings on Angela and big feelings on Ed, and my feelings towards Renee are bigger.
Wow.
So I don't ever see that again. It is way too soon.
See, that says a lot. Okay, so I want to talk about Boja and Vanja, because we got this information. Well, actually, I saw it on the First Look on Friday, right? So he admitted to her that she's basically in the friend zone right now. They've been talking for, I don't know, a year, 8 months or whatever, and he doesn't feel a romantic spark or chemistry between the two of them. And I don't know, I was having this conversation on Twitter, on X, and people feel different, like it's mixed. Because I was like, well, if you thought you were in love with each other and you go there, you should feel the same way. But a lot of people keep saying, when you're talking to someone on the phone or on video or on DM or WhatsApp, it's not the same as in person. And I do agree. Like, if I'm talking to someone for a long time and then we finally meet, we're probably not going to sleep together because they're still a stranger. I need to feel comfortable. So, but I don't know. I feel like it's weird because his mom kept saying, "This is your last hope." And that struck me as odd, because I was like, well, is he the problem?
Yes, he's the problem.
Why does he...
I don't care if you're talking to someone on any of those platforms and you use the term "I love you," you don't get to take that back. Like, either you have feelings or you don't. Sometimes you can't just erase what you said just because you didn't say it in person. You still said it. So he's given her false hope.
Yes.
All the way along. Spent the money to come back and see him. Like, he's lied to her all along. He's got a whole nother girlfriend. He's not what he says he is. He's not the professional basketball player. He doesn't have a job. He lives with his freaking mom. Like, he's been nothing but a shitty human to her, and she deserves...
Am I still frozen? Okay. Thank God. Okay, so I really don't understand why he would lead her on and bring her all the way there, because I can talk to someone online and have like a good rapport and have a good friendship. I'm not going to say, hey, fly across the world to come see me because I love you. And then when they get there, be like, oh, we're just nice friends. Oh, and Laura, you're right. So on next week's episode, or possibly next week, she's going to meet with his friends, and she's going to find out that the ex-girlfriend is still in the picture, which you said all along, didn't you?
Yep.
This was actually, that was your first theory.
Yep.
Because I asked you, I was like, Cara, why do you think this man doesn't want to be with her? Because she's blonde, she's beautiful, she's smart, she's ambitious, she works, she can take care of herself. What's the issue? And you said it. You were like, well, the first girl that he was with for 6 years, he screwed it up. She dumped him. He ghosted her to try to get back with her, and then when it didn't work, she was his fallback.
Yep.
That was Vanja. So I'm assuming now that Vanja's there, him and this other ex-girlfriend have been talking again, and he's not gonna screw that up, because that was always who he wanted to be with.
Absolutely. And just like he told his ex, I'm just gonna do this, nice friends, we're not gonna sleep together, we're not even gonna stay in the same house, because this is my new job. I'm gonna get a paycheck from a company called TLC. They're going to air it on TV, and voila, we got money for the next couple months.
Yeah, and I kind of think that the girlfriend is probably one of his friends. I don't know this, but like, I feel like she's watching. She sees what's going on. Vanja doesn't know that she's so close, but I think she sees what's going on. That's why on the first night, he made sure while the cameras were still there, he went and left. Like, he's covering all the bases so his girlfriend doesn't have any grievance with the situation. He's like, oh, I went and picked her up. I took her to this cooking class and I dropped her ass off and I went home. And he made sure they filmed them.
Don't believe me, you'll see it on the episode.
Yes, because he was walking in the alley and they're filming him, and I'm like, they don't ever do that. They never film someone walking to their car. We just see them leave. So there was semblance in that.
And also, this guy is such a trash human that he literally digs in the dumpster to get you a plant because he doesn't even have a job to buy you flowers. This guy, I just can't. He's literally using her, and she has no idea.
The idea that there are two women fighting over him, basically, it shows the state of the dating pool and how low we've stooped as a nation, as a world with the dating. This is the quality of man out there, and women are literally fighting over him when no one should want him. Even his mom. His mom's like, this is his last hope. If she doesn't want him, nobody wants him. Like, even his mother said it. She was like, well, if he can't make it work with her, I guess I'm stuck with him forever. You know, that's basically. So,
I'm just so sad for Vanja. She seems like just the sweetest thing. She seems so sweet. She actually really loves this guy. She's flown across the world to see him. I feel so bad for her. She deserves so much better.
Wait. Pineapple says the ex is also from the United States.
Yeah, Montana.
I didn't know that. I thought this was a local girl from Croatia. Now this is making way more sense. I thought it was just some local girl that he knew, you know, from the area that he lives in. Now that I see it's another American, so he's a serial American dater. He's looking for an American girl to take care of him. And he thought he found it in Vanja, but I guess his first choice was this other girl from Montana.
Well, Vanja got him on 90 Day Fiance.
Well, yeah, Vanja got him a paycheck. Yeah. So he had to follow through because the paycheck, you know, like, and pretending. And I wonder how long he was pretending, because I was like, he's definitely not interested in her romantically. So I'm like, I wonder how far back in their relationship did he start talking to the ex again, and he knew this was going nowhere, but he had to continue because they were going to film. Like, I wonder how long did that go?
Well, as of the filming, they've been talking for 8 months. So somewhere in that 8 months, he's told her, I love you. So she went to Croatia 8 months ago, met him on her last day leaving, and then comes back 8 months later after talking to him every day for 8 months, building this relationship and all that stuff. And then now it's just, you know, she thought this is going to be her fiance, that they're going to get married, all that stuff. So she applies for the show, and now he's going to get paid for it, and she's just hanging out to dry.
Oh, Laura, that's a good question. Laura's like, does his mom not know what's going on, or is she playing stupid? That's a really good question, because it seemed like she thought him and Vanja were going to make this work. So I'm going to go ahead and say either mom doesn't know what's going on or mom doesn't like the ex. So she would prefer anyone over the ex. Because you know how some moms are. Some moms will automatically write off someone that they dislike. Or do you think she doesn't know?
She's in on it.
Oh, you think mom and aunt know exactly what's going on?
Absolutely.
Really? So they're just all a bunch of liars.
So your jobless, lifeless, dumbass son is living with you, and he's lying to women all over the place, and then all of a sudden a TV crew comes to your house. Mom, I'm gonna get a paycheck and I'm gonna get to move out and blah blah blah, and she says, okay, what do you need me to say? So
I mean, and at this point she's probably happy at the idea she's not gonna have to pay for something at some point, right? Because he's basically living with his mom and his aunt. He's not trying to get a job. You know what's really weird? This is off topic, but he was walking through his town and he walked into all these different businesses. He knew everybody at every business. He was talking to the owner here, the manager here, and I was like, you can't ask any of these people for a job. Like, you know everyone knows you. You know what he kind of reminded me of? You remember the movie Aladdin? The way that he was like, everyone knew him around the city, but he was like a little thief. He reminded me of that because I was like, everyone knows you exist, but nobody wants to offer you a job, so they obviously don't trust you enough.
He doesn't want to work. He's got American women paying his way. Like,
so you think he hasn't been working because he's like basically Sean from the other way. So he's basically just got a bunch of different women sending him cash.
I think he's worse. I just think he's worse. I think,
really.
I mean, Sean was willing to marry her and all that stuff. So I mean, they're actually married, and she knew that he lived with his mom. She knew he has a daughter. Vanja knows nothing about this guy. She doesn't. Literally everything he's told her is a lie. She doesn't know if he has a house. She doesn't know if he's got a job. She doesn't know any of that. She thinks he has a house, and she thinks he's a professional basketball player. He hasn't spilled his guts on any of that yet.
That's true.
She also thought they were together and in love, and that backfired too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right. He's worse than Sean. Yeah. You're right, because Sean is married to this woman in his country where it matters, right? Because it doesn't matter over here if they're not going to honor it over here. But he's married in his country where it matters. So if he wanted to go marry somebody else, they wouldn't let him. They're not going to let you marry more than one person. So you're right. He's actually way more honest. I think it's weird that Joe hasn't met his mother the last time they were there, because it's like, if you're married, you know, you should meet the family, vice versa. So the fact that
Airbnb and everything.
Well, yeah, the fact that she spent so much time there, no meeting with the mom, you know, weird, totally strange. But because even Sean had a video chat with her mom. Anyway, that's off subject. We'll talk about that tomorrow. But I want to talk about Rory and Vea and Sonny. So Sonny cooled down because, you know, last week Sonny blew up. He went off. He was done with her. And actually, at the beginning of this episode, he was also done with her. She texted and he was like, leave me alone. Don't talk to me. I don't want to be around you. He had some time to think about it, and they actually met up. And, before we get into that, let's talk about Apple Pay in Durban. So Vea goes out into a street vendor area, which, you know, in a lot of countries, that's kind of like their market, you know, all the street vendors.
Right.
And she goes and gets a pineapple, and she's like, where's your machine for Apple Pay? And I was like, you don't really believe that street vendors have Apple Pay. You know what? I do live in a big city, and, you know, I do go to like places in the city, and some of the street, what do you call it, food trucks, they have Apple Pay. But this is not.
I live in the tiniest town possible. I've told you that a million times. My town is so tiny. Our major restaurants here are food trucks, and everybody has Apple Pay.
Wait, everyone does?
Yeah.
Oh, so okay, so it's pretty normal. Like, I know here in America, it's pretty normal.
It is normal. I would never guess the Philippines or Nigeria or any of those places that have Apple Pay.
There's gonna be a conversion rate.
Yeah.
So the idea that they would accept Apple Pay is kind of ridiculous. We kind of saw this with Josh and Lily when Josh was trying to use his credit card in China. They're not going to take it because there's a huge conversion rate. They already charge you a fee for using a credit card, period. And then who knows what the conversion rate is? Are they going to get their money? It's just crazy to me that she's walking around, didn't convert any money, and she's got food in her hand that she can't give it back now because she's touched it. And she's like, oh, let me call someone. And I was like, this is kind of the idea of how she ended up where she is in this situation, because I was like, this is why you're here all alone. You pissed this man off. You brought your ex here. You're walking around with no money, buying things you can't buy on the street. Like, this is the lack of planning, you know, that got you here.
So I have some things to say and some things to retract.
Okay.
So we all know that I was like, this dumbass. Mm-hmm. I had so many feelings about her. And then tonight, Rory made the comment. She didn't tell him why she is the way she is, and it's not pretty. So I was like, oh, that's kind of a brutal comment. So I was thinking it was in reference to maybe the miscarriage or something like that. I did some digging, and I actually feel very sorry for Vea And I understand why she's got issues. She has attachment issues. I understand. So this girl, and this is something y'all can find out. So I just found out today, but this girl was sex trafficked in 2021.
She was sex trafficked?
Yeah.
When? In 2021? So was this after she broke up with Rory, or like when did this happen?
I don't know. I don't have all. I'm still researching it because I had a very short time in between the show and the podcast. But what I did find was horrifically sad, and so I do understand why she's got a little why her brain is not fully fully into everything she's doing. Why she's a little bit different in her relationships. Why she doesn't want to be alone. Now I get why she wanted Rory to go with her, because Rory is somebody she trusted. Rory is someone she has faith in. Like, I get it now.
Well,
at first I was like, this is ridiculous. You're going with the film crew. You're gonna be safe. It's not blah blah blah. I didn't know the history. And now that I know the history, I actually feel really freaking sorry for her.
I didn't know.
I retract all my mean things that almost all my mean things I said.
When you've been sex trafficked, usually this happens when you trust the wrong people. So the idea that she was going to be going to Durban, she's going to South Africa, a place she's never been in her entire life, and doing it alone, for somebody who's been taken advantage of and taken against their will, they're basically being kidnapped and held against their will. The idea of going to a foreign place alone with no one there, because say, for instance, something happened to her and Rory's not there, and maybe, let's say, Sonny was in on it. This is hypothetical, obviously not true. Who's going to be looking for her? No one. Yep. So now that I know that, I do understand why she brought her ex, I mean, on Twitter calls her ex-baby daddy, but her ex-boyfriend on the trip. And when you've been through something like that, the number of people you trust is usually, you can count on one hand.
Well, so she had an eating disorder. Her brother died. She had a miscarriage. She was sex trafficked. I get why she wouldn't want to do anything alone. I get it. And I seriously, I don't know if she'll ever watch this, but I apologize from the bottom of my heart for all the weird things I said about her and all the mean things I said about her, because I had no clue. But
me too.
The only reason that I know, excuse me, is just from doing my own research. So I realize she doesn't want to put all that out there, but it may be beneficial to her to give some backstory to herself. I mean, she has said the comment about her brother. Mm-hmm. She has said the comment about the miscarriage. So that's understandable. But I really think that if she was to explain, and I'm not saying that, excuse me, I'm not saying that anybody that's been through this owes anyone an explanation. Yeah. But what I am saying is, if you're going to put your whole life on TV for people to ridicule you and, judge you based on what they see on TV, maybe put something out on your Instagram or a TikTok of some sort that's going to reach a lot of people to let them know why you did what you did. Because instead of, my first thought was, why the hell are you bringing the ex? He's still in love with you, yada, yada, yada. And then I find out later what actually happened. And I give her all the credit in the world for taking someone with her that she actually trusts.
Yeah. Going on this trip in general was probably one of the most terrifying things of her life. Because when you're in traffic, you're usually in a place that's unknown to you, and it's scary. So this is almost recreating that environment. Absolutely. So her doing it in general just shows incredible strength. And I want to apologize if I said anything mean. Yeah. It's because I was misinformed. I didn't have the right information in front of me. And anyone who's gone through half of what she's gone through, I'm just happy that she's able to find happiness in anything. Right? She's able to overcome and look for love. People who've been in these situations, they don't even want to be in a relationship. Yeah. They have so many deeply rooted issues with trust. So the idea that she even took the leap shows that she's very strong and she's overcoming a lot of the things in her past. I had no clue.
Yeah.
Right? And I've
I
talked to
didn't
her
either
before. Yeah, I talked to her like around the hurricane. We were talking, and we actually found out that her and Rory, they lived about, oh my gosh, 45 minutes away from me when I lived in Ohio.
Yeah.
And we lived there at the same time. So we talked, but I had no idea, you know? So I'm sorry if I said anything that was hurtful or offensive to her, especially that had to do with her actions.
Yeah.
And again, that was probably because I was just misinformed. I didn't have the information in front of me. It does make more sense why she did what she did. And you know, it seems like Sonny wants to give it another shot, which I'm gonna just put it out there. I don't think that they're supposed to be together.
Yeah, I don't
I
either.
think he's got his own issues with trust. She's got her own issues with trust. I don't think that it's gonna work. He did say something that was really mature though, because he was like, I'm not upset that you have a friendship with Rory. I'm upset that we never had a conversation about it. Yep. And I was like, see, that is very mature, because I thought he was just super jealous and he didn't want her talking to men, period. That's not what the situation is. He just says, I don't want to find out you're doing things behind my back. And I think that's a very reasonable thing to ask for someone. Like, yeah, if you want to have a friend that's your ex-baby daddy, that's fine. But don't let me find out about it the way that I found out about it. We should have had a conversation about it ahead of time. So I totally agree with him, but I still think that he's too young and inexperienced and immature to understand what it would be taking on to be in a relationship with her, because she has baggage and she's going to need a lot of extra attention and care. And I don't think he's ready for that.
Well, and I'm also assuming, again, it's just an assumption, but I'm also assuming that he, you know, she didn't share that information with him. And so had she shared that with him, then maybe he would understand, yeah, I don't want you to come alone. You should go with somebody you trust, you know, if you're coming this way.
I think a lot of times too, I was just watching a show the other day, and there was a couple that was together for like 10 years, and the guy was molested as a child, and it had given him like a lot of issues, and he never told his wife. And I realized when I was watching that show, I was like, it's not that you don't love the person, you don't trust the person. It's so hard to confide in someone. Absolutely. So I was like, she probably didn't tell him because she doesn't want to. Because a lot of times when people are going through that, the husband said, I didn't want my wife to think differently of me. And then the wife was looking at him like, why in the hell would you think that? But when you've been through something traumatic like that, people go through this phase of self-blame. Absolutely. Right? They think that people are going to judge you because something horrible happened to you. Yeah. So I think that that's probably one of the reasons why, because she had an opportunity right then and there, but I feel like that's not a conversation you have in front of a camera anyway. Yeah. Right? But I think even being, when you tell someone, you have to fully know and trust people when you share something that deep about your life. And, you know, I've never been in that situation, and I don't even know what it's like, you know, for someone who has, because it might be something she just doesn't tell anybody. And that's why Rory is so close to her, because he might be the only person who knows. Yeah. Right? And then that keeps them bonded together, because she doesn't ever want to tell anyone else. And he already knows, and she doesn't ever have to go through that again as long as she keeps him close. So that could also be it too.
Well, I'm sure that Rory knows, just because of the comment, like he said, she doesn't tell anyone why she is the way she is, and it's not pretty. So I don't know. I feel truly heartbroken for her.
So do I.
And I mean, she's a strong chick. That's all I can say. She persevered.
Okay, so Matilda's family and Niles had a conversation. At first, I didn't know how it was going to go, right? Because Niles is the king of procrastination. Because I was like, I feel like he's going to get there and he's going to crash out. He's not going to be able to do it. Matilda coached him through. So at first, they flat out said no. They said, no, you can't make up your own rules, which I fully understand, because that's kind of like how Tiger Lily lives her life. She meets people and just tells them, oh, well, do whatever the hell I say or I'm not going to be happy. So they did have like a little discussion, and they're going to give him 2 to 3 months after the knocking ceremony to have the wedding. Now, what bothered me is Niall said for this trip in general, he spent all of his money and he has nothing. So what's scary to me is, how is he going to have the time to come up with a wedding ring? Because the only ring he gave her is a promise ring, technically he needs, well, no, I mean, I guess the engagement and promise is the same, but he still needs a wedding ring. He has to fly back to Ghana. He has to have enough for the bride price, which he doesn't even know what it is yet.
Yeah.
So that's what worries me. I feel like he might be in over his head, and he's not rich, you know,
he's
like, because
very in over his head.
Right. And we watched this with David and Annie. David had to make a payment plan for his bride price, and a lot of families are not okay with it. Okay, they won't accept it. If you can't pay, you can't marry. So I'm just really worried that, because he's like, oh, this is a win, we can figure out everything else when we get there. And I was like, well, what if you can't get there? Like, what if you can't meet their demands? You don't have the money, you're not able to do what they ask, because you know they curse people. Okay, right. They put hexes on people. So I'm just worried that
never should have told her that he knew that, because now she's got leverage, first of all. But second of all, she's sitting there coaching him. She's telling him what to say, and he's thinking it's okay because she's telling him in English. But yet her family's sitting there translating for them. So the person that was translating, the brother, he's going to be like, once they leave, he's going to be like, well, here's what happened. Matilda was telling him what to say all along. Like, this guy had no clue. Also, he thinks we're going to put a curse on him, so we should scare the shit out of this guy.
Well, it's very easy to scare Niles, right? He's a very nervous person.
Yeah.
And that has to do with his autism. So I'm just worried about him in general, because I think he's biting off more than he can chew, and he doesn't handle stress well. So I'm just worried about how this situation is going to turn out for him, because yes, he got the outcome that he wanted, but I'm just worried about him following through, because he said, he made it very clear when he was leaving on the trip. He was like, I spent all of the money that I have nothing. He was like, to go on this trip. And now he has 2 to 3 months to not only repeat the trip, but to show up with a ring that is acceptable, you know, for the family. Also, and I think at the knocking ceremony is when they're going to give him the bride price. And the bride price is only one thing. There's also gifts. You're supposed to give gifts and the bride price as well. And I'm just worried that he's not going to, because, you know, his family doesn't agree.
Yes.
They don't want him doing this. So he doesn't have anyone that he can get money from. So I'm just worried.
He's trying to figure out how to navigate all of this by himself.
Okay, so Pineapple, I did see this, that Niles sued Alabama. It was something about unfair treatment at his job. You saw that car, right? It said that he went through some, I guess, like harassment or something along the lines of harassment through his job. So what I was looking for when I looked at that was the outcome, if he won or not, and I couldn't find.
He did win, but I think he only got like $12,000.
Oh, okay.
And
that was back in like 2020, right? Something like that. So yeah, that probably isn't a thing, because I was like, he could always go to, if he won a whole bunch of money, he could always go back. But yeah, that's probably gone, especially in 2020. We were all hurting for money in 2020. Right. So I'm pretty sure that's long gone. So yeah, I love him and her together. I think that they're sweet. I did hear her say in this episode again tonight, she was like, my goal is to go to America. Yep. I keep hearing it, but I love how happy he is, but I just don't know how sincere she is.
Well, like, okay, for example, with David and Annie, David's friend, his best friend, you know, was able to supply him with an apartment, but he was also married to a Filipino woman. So he had experience, and he was able to tell David how to navigate this and help him out here and there. Niles has nobody. Like, he's got to figure out what gifts. He's got to figure out how to negotiate the bride price. He's got to figure out how to apply for a spousal visa. He's got to figure out how to tell his parents that he's going to go through with this wedding. And, you know, he has a hard time dealing with a lot of, like, sensory overload. He's going to have a tough time with it.
Yeah. I think that he's in over his head, and also he doesn't, I think in the back of my mind too, the family, because again, everyone assumes Americans are rich.
Right.
The family are gonna, because this happened with David, they thought he was rich, and then they found out he had the money. So I don't know if they're gonna accept, you know, he doesn't have a lot to give. Because, you know, with Emily and Kobe's family was like, we're not asking for a lot of money. Yeah. We know that you're happy. We know that you're married, whatever. And they didn't ask for a lot. I think it was $1.60 bride price, right? Yeah. But does Matilda's family know that Niles can't afford a lot, or do they think he's an American taking our daughter away? He owes us a lot.
Yeah.
You know, so I worry about also, because there's a lot of people, you know, on that family compound, and they all want to benefit from losing their daughter, right? Their sister, their daughter, their niece. They want to benefit from that, and in those cultures, that's completely normal. They want to come out on top. If they have to, because in their culture, you're basically leaving your family to become part of another family, and it's true because she'll be in America, so they're gonna want to know that they're gonna be okay financially if you take her away. Because remember, Matilda said that she works.
Yeah,
she's one of the people that takes care of the family. Something, she sells plantains, right? So losing a key person financially in the household, they're gonna want to make sure that they're okay. And I don't know if Niles is able to do that. So that whole situation is scary for me, because I'm happy that he's happy, right? I feel like it was a huge leap for him to do this. Someone with autism doesn't typically put themselves out there to date. And not only did he put himself out there, he went all the way to Ghana to find love. Yep. Right? So if it doesn't work out, I feel like it's got to question.
I said it in the beginning, and I'm still sticking with it, that we have to protect Niles at all costs.
Please.
Like, that man has a genuine heart.
He's such a good person, right? Like, I did yell at him last week, though, because he tried to tell Matilda that he told her he wasn't going to get married. And I was like, don't lie. Women are very, very intelligent. They have screenshots. They have transcripts. They have a picture perfect memory. So I was like, if you didn't say that, don't get caught up. Right. Like, you can do a lot of things.
I mean, last week I was upset by that.
Me too.
I still think that he's a really kind-hearted, genuine soul. Like, he
doesn't have a mean, evil, ill-hearted bone in his body. He's just a decent human being, and we don't see that a lot, right? Especially on this show. So when we see that, we're like, well, we need to protect this person, because the world is not safe for people like Niles, right? Like, we need to make sure that he's safe.
I'm gonna put him in some bubble wrap and send him to the tell-all.
Yeah, I want him to be okay. And so we didn't talk about Adnan and Tiger Lily. So we were talking about this last week. So she's going over there. They're on a baby making trip, which is outrageous, right? Well, first of all, she's 43 with 2 kids, and he's 22 with no kids. Does he know that if she was to get pregnant, it would be considered high risk? Does he even know that?
He doesn't give a shit. He doesn't know anything. It's all about him. This dumbass says on national TV, if you took a shirtless picture and posted it on social media, I would kill you.
Oh, he did say that. And you know what's funny, Cara? I believe him.
I do too.
I believe him, because he didn't laugh. You know how when people say things, like me and my bestie, we talk, and I'm like, oh, do you think I should do this? And she's like, boy, don't do that. I will kill you. Ha, ha, ha. And we laugh. There was no laughing at the end. He was like, she's like, would you be mad? He's like, oh, I wouldn't just be mad. I would kill you. And I was like, why do I believe him?
Yeah.
I believe that he would. And that doesn't make me feel good at all. I mean, I'm not a fan of Tiger Lily, but I want her to live, right? Like, I want her to be safe.
She also said if he is a serial killer, our love is strong enough as long as he doesn't kill me.
Yeah.
I'll support him.
She basically was like, I'll help him bury the bodies. You know, she basically was in for it. And there may not be hope for her. I'm beginning to think there isn't, because in her mind, his religion is just an annoying double standard.
Yeah.
Which I think
he's such a dipshit that to make a place romantic, instead of doing rose petals, he goes to the freaking grocery store, buys the $9 bouquets of flowers, and just lays them all over the house. Doesn't take them out of the plastic wrap, doesn't pull the petals, just lays bouquets of flowers in plastic wrap next to the burning candles on the floor that's going to burn this freaking place down. But he's a smart one.
I saw that, and I was just, you know, I watch 911, and I watch all the fire shows, and I was like, man, I'm just looking at all the fire hazards. And I was like,
such a major flashback to Stacy and Florian's wedding.
Yes, I remember, because remember she was walking and it looked like her dress was going to catch on fire because there was
I had
candles
so
on.
much anxiety during that episode. I was like, oh my God, she's going to burn down.
Yeah, and not only that, they were out on like a patio with only one door, and I was like, is everybody going to be able to get out safe? You know, that's really crazy. And I thought people were beyond putting candles anywhere because they sell the little flicker light candles. The purpose of that is so you don't burn anything down, and they look just like real candles because I have them in my house. The little flicker lights, you just buy the little watch battery when you want to replace it, and guess what? No fire hazards, no issues, because I have curtains. So if you want to put a candle in your window, you get a flicker light like a normal person. But again, he's a 22-year-old who just got married, who's just entering the world of sex, which you don't believe, right? You don't believe that.
Not at all.
So him posting thirst trap pictures, I think that at 22 years old and he considers himself a model, that's normal. And I guess in his religion, you can post a thirst trap picture because you're a man. You don't have to cover your chest or whatever. You don't have to cover your hair, your face, whatever. It's totally okay. But I feel like even in our culture, it's still okay, right? Like it's if you were in a relationship and your husband was posting thirst trap pictures, would you care?
I mean, if he has the body for it, knock yourself out.
I mean, yeah, I feel the same way. Like if I'm not to be jealous. Like I would rather also though, if my girl's posting thirst trap pictures, that there's at least a picture of us on her social media, so people don't think that she's just open for business.
But
I would appreciate.
Right before the show started, Tiger Lily scrubbed her whole freaking Instagram.
Yeah.
Got rid of all of her shit with her, whatever, 800,000 followers or whatever. So
701,000, I think it was when they started.
Yeah, cannot tell me there wasn't some thirst traps on there.
Oh, you know. You already know. She posts, they are two, what's the word I'm looking for? Shallow individuals.
Yep.
At different stages in life, equally shallow. So I can guarantee you there's thirst trap pictures between the both of them. And I think that the sooner she realizes that his culture is not a double standard or an annoying habit, the better. You know, and I think I do blame him a little bit because he doesn't really explain to her why it's important. He's just like, well, you can't do this because you're a woman.
Yeah.
Like, well, you have to explain, like, in your religion, her doing this would bring shame to you, or it would mean that your relationship or your status in your religion is compromised. Like, he doesn't really explain it to her. Maybe he doesn't know. He's only 22 years old. But I think it would be easier to understand if you gave a reason why.
But also, if we're talking about this thirst trap picture, if you marry a 22-year-old model, you know he's a model. What do you think he's going to be posting?
I mean,
Casey and Florian, they're both constantly posting thirst traps, both of them, and they're married.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're with a model, that's what models post. And actually on Instagram, that's kind of like how everyone posts. No one is as posting professional photos. It's thirst trap pictures all day. And even non-models, people who just are attractive, they're just posting thirst trap. So if she wants to be with a 22-year-old who is in love with himself more than he's in love with her, this is what you get. You get what you pay for, right?
Exactly. I don't know. He is very one-sided, and it's very frustrating. But it's also frustrating that, I mean, I agree. This is not all just religious shit. Because if it was, she'd have to have her hair wrapped and blah, blah. I mean, there's so many things. But also, if you're going to marry someone that's a different religion, a different culture, all that stuff, then you should do your research before you marry him. I mean, that's on her. So.
Yeah. Okay, so hold on. Laura said, wait, where did it go? Who said that? They said, do you think that they're really in love? Oh, Soul Catcher. So I don't think that they're in love, but I do think that they both want to be famous. I think that's my consensus on the two of them.
I think they're in love with the idea.
Yes. They're in love with the idea of being with each other, but I don't think they actually are in love with each other. Okay, rephrase. I don't think either of them are capable of loving anything more than they love themselves.
Absolutely.
not saying that they don't love each other. They do to some extent, just nowhere near to the extent that they love themselves. I think that's the best way to put it. I just think Adnan could never fully love anything more than he loves Adnan. And Tiger Lily could never fully love it. And it's weird to say that because she's a mom of two. But she could never love anything as much as she loves Tiger Lily.
But if you're 43 years old and you're flying to Jordan to have a baby making session with your brand new 22-year-old model husband that you're going to get in a fight with on the plane because your 22-year-old model husband posted a shirtless, steamy photo on Instagram, you have bigger problems than trying to make a baby.
The last thing the two of them need is a baby.
Absolutely.
They're both, to be honest, they're both babies in itself. Tiger Lily's a big baby. She's always whining about something, right? Like she's always whining. And even, okay, and I hate to take Adnan's side. Oh, we're going to run out of time. But I hate to take Adnan's side. But he was like, Tiger Lily reached out and said that she was mad about the photo and I deleted it. Because he was even like, why are we having this conversation? And I was like, honestly, you're kind of right. She said, hey, I don't like that you posted it. You said, okay, my bad. I deleted it. Why are you fighting about it? Yeah. She just likes to whine about stuff.
Absolutely.
Any normal relationship, that situation would have been over. The message where she's like, hey, I don't like that you posted it. Take it down. You took it down. There doesn't really need to be a fight. Just like saying, hey, I'd appreciate it if you didn't post photos like that. There's no fight about it. But she likes to fight. She likes to hear herself talk. And she likes to bicker. And I think Adnan is realizing quickly, he hasn't even spent that much time with her, but even the little bit of amount of time that they've been together, he's realizing she's annoying as hell.
Absolutely.
Right? He's really seeing it.
Oh my gosh, the voice, I can't.
And she talks so slow, and it just drives me insane.
Yes.
It's like,
oh my God.
Spit it out. Okay, oh gosh, we only have like 2 minutes left. Okay, so we're going to wrap, and we're going to come back tomorrow and talk some the other way. Oh my gosh, did you see we're 2 episodes away from to tell all?
Yes.
Are you
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. I can't wait. So we're 2 episodes away from the tell all. So we're going to come back, talk the other way, and then some I Love a Mama's Boy. And then fingers crossed, Dee Dee will be back next week. She unfortunately got called into work. So hopefully we'll have her back really soon. It's weird without her, right? I want her to come back. So we'll be back tomorrow. Thanks everybody for joining us. This was late, guys, because this is technically like midnight for me and like what, 9:30, 9:16 for you. This is late for us.
It's only 8:15 for me, but
8? But still, this is late for us. So thanks everybody for staying up. I'm tired. Okay, so we're gonna come back tomorrow. Make sure you're following my co-host Cara. She's tagging this video, and make sure you're following me on all social media platforms at George Mossey, GeorgeMossey.com. Anywhere you get your podcast, type in George Mossey Show. We'll talk to all you guys tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.